everybody, and welcome to the Little Wandle Letters and Sounds Introduction to Phonics in Reception. So why are we introducing a new phonics and reading programme? So it's now a new government requirement that schools have a systematic synthetic phonics programme in place so that children are able to use phonics as their first route to reading. And these changes need to be in place by March 2022. The idea is that it's a consistent approach across the school, a consistent approach to the teaching of phonics and reading. All members of staff have been trained up on the Little Wandle programme so that children at whatever stage they're at are able to have the same consistent approach to helping them. So how do we teach phonics at school in reception? So phonics is one of the lessons that we've been doing the most at school. We started it very, very early on and the children are really enjoying learning sounds. I'm sure that they will have talked to you about the sounds at home because they've been bringing homework in, which I will talk to you about a little bit later. So the first thing we do is we introduce a new phoneme. Now phoneme means the way that the sound sounds. So we talk about the formation of our mouths and how we move our tongues and where our lips should be so that we're pronouncing the phoneme properly. So for example, s, a, t. And there'll be a video a little bit later for you to have a look at in case you're not sure how to pronounce the phonemes. We then play a game which involves listening. So for example, I might have a box and in the box are lots of things beginning with our phoneme k, for example, car or cat. We pull them out and the children have to identify whether it's got the k sound in, our phoneme of the day. After we've practiced saying the phoneme and all of the children are really confident with the pronunciation, we then introduce the grapheme. Now the grapheme is the way that the sound is written. And Little Wandle have some really, really lovely flashcards which support the children with remembering how the sound looks, how the grapheme is written. So for example, this is s, and as you can see, it's got a snake. So we would say snake, s, snake, s. And the idea is that the children remember the visuals. And you will also notice, because you will have seen their homework, you will also notice that the snake helps with the formation of the grapheme when the children are writing. So there's another one there as well, astronaut, ah. And all of the classes and all of the teachers use these same flashcards, so they are consistent, and these are the visuals that you will use to support your children at home. Once we've introduced the grapheme, we then will play a lovely game that they really enjoy where we hide the sounds and we do shuffle time and they have to try and spot the sound, and it's really trying to say it and recognise it as much as possible. And then we will play a listening or an oral blending game too, because it's really important that the children can hear the sounds and how they come together to make different words. So for example, we might play a game where you will say, can you touch your ch, I, n? And the children would then touch their chin. So it's really important for us to gauge whether the children can hear the blending. If they can't hear it, they won't be able to do it within their reading. So we play lots of listening and oral blending games, and actually as your children have been at school longer, we're also beginning to put the sounds together to make different words. So on the board we would put the sounds together like this, and then we press each sound, so s, at, and then we sweep to say sat. And we've been doing that every day and the children are getting really, really good at this. We're also doing letter formation practice every day, and you're also supporting us with that as part of the homework, so thank you very much. And the idea is that the more the children say the rhymes, the more they see the graphemes, the more they say the sounds, the more it will be committed to their long-term memory. So how you can support your child at home, and I'm really aware that so many of you have been sending in the homework every week and the children are really, really proud that they've been going home and sharing their new phonics with you. So thank you so much for supporting. It's really, really important that we all pronounce the phonemes the same, that we are doing it accurately. And the Little Wandle Letters and Sounds has some really good resources for parents where you can go on and have a look at a child pronouncing the sound. So if you're unsure of any pronunciation, you can have a look at the video. So I'm going to show you that now.
Hello everyone, this is how we say our sounds. S, A, T, P, I, N, D, D, O, K,
As you'll see, that's really clear. It's a really clear demonstration of how to pronounce the sounds, and Little Wandle have the letters for all the videos for all of the different sounds for you to have a look at if you're not sure. So as I've said, the weekly homework using the rhyme for the formation, and it's really, really helpful if you could try and spot the sounds in the environment around you. So at this age, children don't always realise the purpose for reading. They just think it's for stories, and they haven't quite spotted that there's actually print in the environment all around them. So when you're going to the shop, when you're going for a walk, spotting those graphemes on road signs, on shop signs, wherever you go, will be really, really useful for helping children to understand the importance of reading. And also, while you're out and about, listening for sounds, doing lots of those listening games that I was talking about earlier. If you're going to the park, what can they hear? Just stop and listen for a little bit to really get their focus and their attention on the listening, which will in turn help with their oral blending and their reading too. So thank you for listening. Hopefully you are a little bit clearer on how we teach phonics at school and how you can support your child at home. Mrs. Hall has also done a video all about the reading support, so hopefully that will help you too. But remember that Miss Highlands and I and Mrs. Hall have always got an open door, so if you have any questions about phonics or reading, then please do email us or catch us at the end of the day. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Faye Hall if you don't know me, and I'm currently leading on early reading at Southfield Park. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this presentation, which is all about our new reading scheme, how it's affecting the children at school, and more importantly, how you can support your child at home. So why are we introducing a new phonics and reading programme? It's now a new government requirement to have a systematic synthetic phonics programme in place in school, so that children are using phonics as their first route to reading. So in practice, this means as a school, we need to have one programme that we're following, and that's why we've decided to go with the Little Wandle programme, because we felt that it was the best option for our school, as it was closest to our current phonics and reading programme. So whereas we used to have in reception, we'd be learning the Jolly Phonics songs and actions, and then in year one we'd move to looking at the letters and sounds programme, we're now following this one programme. So although we are missing our Jolly Phonics actions and songs, we do feel that the resources that we have with Little Wandle and the new little rhymes that the children have to remember the sounds are an adequate and in fact a fantastic replacement. So the new phonics programme used in schools means that we're going to have a really consistent approach across the whole of the school, all the way from reception to year 6, and all staff have been trained and we are all singing from the same song sheet. Now these changes need to be in place by March 2022. However, we've decided that we really wanted to hit the ground running and start it in September so that our children have the best opportunity to make progress this year. So the way we now teach reading at school is very different to previous years. So if you've got siblings further up the school, you're going to see a little bit of a difference in reception and year one. In line with government requirements, we are now focusing on phonics as for our main reading scheme. And we're really positive about these changes because although it's different, we feel it's going to have a real impact on the children's progress. So reading books are now sorted by phonic level rather than colour-coded bands. They are sorted into the phases 2, 3, 4 and 5, and within each phase there are different sets. Once your children have finished reading phase 5 books and they are fluent and decoding automatically, they will move to the colour-coded books, which is about, we're thinking, the old purple level. So it just means instead of a colour-coded book, they're now coded into phases. Every child will be reading in groups of up to 6 children 3 times a week at school. And these are called practice reading sessions. This is the change that I think we're feeling most excited about, because instead of reading once a week with an adult, the children will actually read 3 times a week. And they'll be looking at the same text in each session. And each session has a different focus, which I'll come on to in a second. The books are completely matched to the child's phonics level and are now fully decodable with learnt tricky words that are taught in a systematic way all the way from reception to the end of year 1. So this is where the reading is really interlinked closely with phonics now, because the children are reading books that they have been assessed that they can know these sounds. So at the end of every 6 weeks of phonics teaching, there is an assessment week where the teacher will work one-to-one with the child to check each child and where they are and what GPCs, what sounds and phonics they have learnt, and that will inform the teacher to match those books for the next 6 weeks with what the child knows fluently. So it should be very closely matched so that the children are not coming across sounds that they have not already been taught. So it means that they should be able to decode really fluently. So the session 1 at school is that the focus is decoding, and the children are concentrating on applying that phonic knowledge that they've already been taught in their phonics lessons, and they're beginning to develop some fluency when reading words. Session 2, little one will call the prosody session, which is actually just means fluency or pace of reading. And it provides the opportunity to read the same book again and practice reading with fluency so the children develop reading with appropriate meaning, stress and intonation. So for example, they could look at the effect of punctuation on how that adds meaning, or they could read the speech bubbles in the text and while thinking about how each character is feeling and how therefore it should be read. Now by session 3 in the week, the children should be more confident with automatically applying those decoding skills and read with greater accuracy and fluency. The teacher will use this opportunity to teach prediction, deduction skills, inference skills, and really think about comprehension as the focus. So after reading it again, they'll go back to certain pages and they might ask questions about how the characters were feeling, and they'll be really looking for children to give evidence. So rather than just saying, for example, they're feeling sad, they need to say, they're feeling sad and I know this because, and they need to show in the text. So it's really getting those comprehension skills that they will need all the way through the skill, and it's starting at a very early age, getting that language with the children, giving understanding that they need to give evidence. So I thought it would be really useful for you to be able to see a reading session, and we've been trained on the Little Wandle phonics program, a reading program, and part of that is watching videos. This is a video of a teacher with a reception summer term group, and she's doing session 2, so she's very much focusing on fluency. Now what I'd really like you to sort of focus on and have a look at is the teaching that goes on before the reading starts. every session, it will say the teacher will look at GPCs that are in the book. They'll look at tricky words that are in the book. They'll read some words that can be phonetically decodable in the book, and they'll also look at vocabulary, maybe words that are unusual to the children. These will be looked at the beginning of every session, and obviously during the first session it will be a slower pace to that part of the session, but by this session you'll see they are remembering them.
Let's go through the sounds that are in this book. Off we go.
Oh.
Very good, super, faster today. Now let's read the tricky words in our book. Super. Superstars. Right, let's read some words fluently, and hopefully you'll be a little bit more fluent today than you were yesterday. Are you ready? This word says...
Thanks.
Well done, you remembered to read the word with the S on the end. Excellent. Next one. Wow, fantastic.
Mess.
Excellent, that was so much quicker and more fluent than yesterday. Right, let's look at the key words, our vocabulary. This word says...
Gold.
Who can remember what's a gull? Olivia.
It's a seagull, but it's short for a sea.
Fantastic. It's a type of bird, isn't it? We can also call them seagulls. You're right, Olivia. Superstar. Next word.
Moss.
Very good. Who can remember what's moss, Rowan? It is a little bit like grass. Can you remember where it grows? It can sometimes grow on rocks. It can grow in other places as well, but it needs to be very what? If you can remember.
Wet.
Very good. Finally, this word, what does it say?
Toss.
Who can remember what does toss mean, Oliver?
Means that you're throwing something.
Fantastic. My goodness, I'm so impressed that you've remembered all those things that we learnt yesterday as well. Right, we're going to read through the book again today, and I want you to read it to yourself, and I'm going to come round and listen to you. Now, yesterday you decoded the words in the book that you weren't sure of. Because we've already done that, I'm going to see today if you can be a little bit more fluent with your reading. Okay, off you go, and I'm going to come and listen to Olivia first today.
It is a big mess. Get to the
Very good, Olivia. That was super fluency, and you remembered how to read words with a S on the end. Superstar.
locks, socks, bags, and tins.
That's amazing, and you remembered all those words with the S on the end. Good boy, super fluency. Right, we're going to now practice some prosody, and that means reading words with meaning and adding expression to it. Because when we add expression to our voices when we're reading out loud, it's much more interesting than just reading it in a normal, boring voice. Okay, so let's turn for me to page 2. Right, so the first sentence, we put our fingers underneath. Let's have a look at those words whilst I'm reading it. It says, it is a big mess. Now, I'm looking at this picture, and my goodness, there is an awful lot of mess on the beach, isn't there? So they really mean it's a big mess. So when I come to the word big, my voice, I'm going to add a bit more expression to that word to show how much of a mess it is, like this. Big! Okay? And the whole sentence will sound like this. It is a big mess! And that's showing you that there's an awful lot of rubbish on the beach. Listen again. It is a big mess. Should we try it together? It is a big mess. Fantastic. Try it on your own.
It is a big mess.
Very good. Here, on page 3, there's a speech bubble coming out of the man's mouth, and that means he's talking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, and he's saying, get it in the bins. He's telling the lady who's holding the plastic water bottle to get it in the bins. He's giving her an instruction. Okay, so he's going to be a little bit bossy about it. Get it in the bins. Like that. Listen again. Get Get it in the bins. Your turn. Let's do it together. Get it in the bins. Oh, that was a good bossy voice. Well done. You try on your own. Let's listen.
Get it in the bins.
Fantastic. Right, shall we together put those two sentences together with our best prosody and expression? Right, starting on page 2 after 3.
It is a big
Woo! Yes, so keen.
It is a big
Shall we try again? We'll do it together though. After 3. 1, 2, 3.
It is a
big mess. Get it in the bins.
Get it in the bins.
Fantastic. Right, try on your own. See if you can be the best that you can be.
It is a big mess. Get it in the bins.
Oh, you were super bossy then. Fantastic. Turning over. Right. We've got the sentence here. If you have a look on page 4, put your fingers under the words so you're following along with me. Well done. It says, pick up the big mess. So shall we say big in the same way that we did on the previous page? Pick up the big mess. But then, I'm not going to move on to page 5 yet because I can see 3 little dots after the word mess. Can you see those? Fantastic. When we see those 3 little dots, it means that something more is about to happen, or there's something extra to be added. There's a bit of a pause, and when we pause, we have to say this in a whisper voice. Listen. Wait and see. Can you try that? Wait and see. So it's telling us there's just a bit more information coming. So it'll be, pick up the big mess. Want to do it together? Pick up the big mess. Shall we see what that big mess is? My goodness. It says locks, socks, bags and tins. That's a lot of mess, isn't it? That's a lot of things they've got to pick up. Do you see after locks and socks there's a bit of a punctuation mark there, and that's called a comma. So we're going to...
A comma means wait for a little time.
It's a pause, isn't it? And it's listing all the things that are on the beach in this part of the sentence, okay? But we are going to have a bit of a pause as well. So it's a bit like this. Locks, socks, bags and tins. Now I'm really adding expression to the word and because I'm showing how much mess there is. Locks, socks, bags and tins. My goodness. Shocking how much mess there is, isn't there? Shall we try and read that bit together again? Let's go. Locks, socks, bags and tins. Fantastic. Right, let's put both of those sentences together. Now don't forget the wait and see. Okay, after the word mess. So let's do it together. Pick up the big mess. Wait and see. Locks, socks, bags and tins. Whoa, fantastic. Right, see if you can do it on your own now and the best you've ever done it. I'm going to be listening.
Pick up the big mess. Locks, socks, bags and tins.
Oliver, that was beautiful, but what have we forgotten after mess?
Wait and see.
Should we see if we can do that again?
Pick up the big mess. Locks, socks, bags and tins.
Very good, Sue.
Well, I hope that you found that useful watching that. You can see the changes, how reading will look at school will be slightly different to the individual reading that we've always done. What I would say is that in that video, for the purposes of the training video, when the teacher was actually reading with one child, you could hear it was silence around. Actually, all the children will be reading all at the same time because it's really important that they read the whole book. So they'll all be reading aloud and the teacher will be walking around focusing in on each child to have a turn. So it won't be as quiet as that. They all are definitely reading the whole book. So I hope that's a little bit clearer. But as you can see there, the focus very much is phonics. They are decoding to start with. They are then reading with fluency and then actually thinking about how their reading sounds. So there's lots going on at school, but you have a huge impact on their reading journey by continuing their practice at home. There are going to be two types of book that your child will be bringing home. So there's going to be the reading practice book. So if I just move me so you can see the rest of it. Okay. In year one, it's going to come home on a Friday. So this is the book that I've been talking about that they've been reading 3 times. They will be bringing that home once a week. It will come home on a Friday. And it must, and I'm sorry that's been underlined and in capital letters, but it must be returned on a Monday morning. In year 2, it's going to come home on a Wednesday, but again, it must be returned on the Monday morning. And the reason for this is because we've had to invest heavily in this new scheme. We've bought 1,500 new decodable readers. They are all in sets of 6 of the same title, so that the 6 children can each have their own book at school during the reading practice sessions. Obviously, if the books don't come back, suddenly that set might only have 4 books in, and when the teacher wants to do it with a different group of children starting on the Monday, and if the books haven't come back, we are going to be in trouble. So we really need you to, number 1, bring them back, but also number 2, really look after the books. They've cost an awful lot of money. We've run into 5, 6, 7,000 of pounds. They've taken ages to stamp and to catalogue, and we would suggest that they just stay in the reading bag or rucksack. They don't come out and sit on the coffee table or in the kitchen, so where they can get lost or covered in a cup of tea, but they stay in there. I don't mean to be too precious about them, and I come across as really being a dictator about it all, but we really do need these to come back to school in a really good condition. We can't lose them because we can't replace them. It's going to cost us too much money. So that's where I really need your help. But the children as well are going to take responsibility for them too. So the reading practice book will come home on a Wednesday or a Friday to come back on the Monday, and then a sharing book is going to come home on a Monday, and I'm going to talk about that a bit more in a second. So the reading practice book, as I've been talking about, is the book that's been carefully matched to your child's current reading level. It's hopefully been read 3 times at school. I will say that sometimes if there's staff sickness, it might only be 2 times, but it should be the 3 times. It's our big priority at school this term is to get this off the ground. And remember that this should be a practice read. Unlike before when they would bring a new book home maybe every day, they might not have read it before at school. This is where they will have read it a few times at school, and they should be more confident, and they should be able to decode fluently. Obviously, some children may still need to be able to decode a bit slower, but we would ask that you use phonics as the route to the child getting the word. We would encourage you not with these books to be saying, or look in the picture for a clue, or what would make sense, because we need them to decode. The government strategy is that all children need to be able to use phonics first. I'll come on to the other cues that we'll talk about as well in a second with the other book, but because obviously they still are important. But for this book, the practice read at home should be, if they need to decode, they need to use phonics. Please don't ask them to look in the picture for a clue, because that's not what we're doing at school, and we'd love that to be mirrored at home as well. But it's for them. They should be confident with it, so celebrate their success, discuss the book afterwards, and then please bring it back to school. The sharing book is a book that they've chosen for you to enjoy together. We'd like you to think that these books, they shouldn't be read alone. They will be too difficult for your child to read. So read it to them or with them. And this is the time to ask about what's in the pictures, what would make sense, really enjoy the story, predict what might happen next. Use different voices, get the child to retell you the story, get them to show you their favourite page, all those lovely reading skills, because one of the big messages from the government is, of course, children need to be able to read at very early stages. If they can't read, they cannot access every other subject, so we need to get them all reading confidently, but we need them to love reading as well. We want to create children that love reading, love picking up books. So this is where the sharing book comes in. It's a bit like the library book that you might go and get from the library, or that they might bring home from the school library. So this will be changed every Monday. They will bring a new sharing book home. That's certainly the case for year 1, and I'm pretty sure that's the case for year 2, that your year 2 teachers will have been in touch and explained how they're going to do that. But certainly year 1, they'll be bringing this book home every Monday. And the main thing is to have fun with this book. I think I've covered everything that I need to cover. Thank you so much again for listening to this. If you have any questions, please do get in touch with your child's teacher or with me at school, and I'm happy to support or talk through things with you. But the main thing is look upon this as a really positive new scheme that we've got at school, and we certainly are very excited about it here at Southfield Park. Thank you so much for listening.